And Senator Coates, I'm glad you joined today, and I was, whenever I looked in to research this, saw that you had used this very language 15 years ago in a piece of legislation, and I know you're an important advocate of religious freedom.
Mr. President, I thank the senator from Missouri, Senator Blunt, and I thank him also for his willingness to engage with this amendment, to put it in play here for us to debate and discuss. It is one of the very fundamental principles of our Constitution that is at stake here, and it deserves this debate, and it deserves this body putting their yea or nay on the line relative to how we're going to go forward with this. Anyway, I commend him for his leadership. I'm pleased to work with him and join him as well as many others on this. This is an issue really that's as old as this nation is, that we are all blessed to live in and all blessed by the wisdom of our founding fathers in guaranteeing our rights. In fact, the very first right they guaranteed under the Constitution was the right of religious freedom. And so many of our settlers, early settlers, came here because of that very right, because of their desire to come to a country where their religious beliefs and tenets and principles would be respected and honored, where they would not be dictated by the government which they lived under before they came here, but would be protected and preserved as a basic fundamental right. It was a transformational idea at the time, and yet for now, well more than 220 years or so, it has been maintained throughout the history of this country and stands as a bulwark against government interference with personal beliefs and government trying to dictate how we exercise the religious freedoms that we're also privileged to have. It's been said, and I want to just repeat it. The debate today is not about access to contraception. This is not about whether or not it is appropriate to use contraception. It's not about a woman's right to contraception. As a pro-life Christian and Protestant, I'm not against contraception, but I also believe it's a decision that individuals must make in accordance with their own faith and beliefs, not a decision made for them by their federal government. So what this debate is really about is whether Congress is going to sit by and idly allow this administration trample this freedom of religion, a core American principle, or whether we stand up and protect what our founding fathers put their lives on the line for and what millions of Americans today will defend. We cannot pick and choose when to adhere to the Constitution and when to cast it aside in order to achieve political prerogatives. We must consistently stand for our timeless constitutional principles. And the debate that is taking place is a stand to protect an inalienable right, the right of conscience, established in our nation's founding days and sustained for over 200 years. Now, I regret that this issue has been reframed for political purposes into a woman's right to choose, into denying women the opportunity to exercise their right to make their choice, because that is not what this is about at all. And yet some have said it has been so successfully reframed that politically those who defend this as a matter of religious conscience and freedom are on the losing side of the political argument. Well, we may be or we may not be. I think it's up to this body to decide that with a thorough debate and a vote, as I say, that puts our yeas and nays on the line. Nevertheless, whether it's a winner or a loser politically is irrelevant to the argument. It's irrelevant, should be irrelevant to the debate, because this clearly is a fundamental principle of religious freedom that needs to be protected regardless of the political consequences. And so those of us who are standing up to debate this are setting aside any kind of political risk, setting aside any advice that basically says, oh, you don't want to touch this because it's been reframed in a way that the American people don't understand it. So we're here today to basically say, here we stand. Here we stand to protect the liberties that are granted to us by our Constitution. And regardless of the political consequences, we will continue to do that. So, Mr. President, I again want to thank Senator Blunt and all those who are willing to address this issue, and trust that our colleagues will see this as a fundamental breach of a constitutional provision provided to us by people who sacrificed their lives to do so. With that, Mr. President, I thank the senator and yield back to him.